love and longing. "Vernon, is everything all right?" Miro Noir asks as Vernon calls her on her communicator. "It is, but he's so sheltered that when I explained myself and showed proof he went off on a rant and tired himself out. Also, the boy's feet are covered in blisters and he's getting some pretty bad leg cramps. From everything coming together, I wouldn't be surprised if his room was a padded one." Vernon explains. "He's taking a nap now. The food really helped him." "I'm glad. What's going to—" Miro Noir begins asking before catching Quar Urla, mother of Jeth Urla, as the less-than-reasonable woman makes a grab for a battle princess's communicator. She gives the mother and accountant a very unimpressed look and simply holds her at a distance without further acknowledgement. "Was that the boy's mother?" Vernon asks. "Yes. Apparently she has a tendency to forget herself," Miro Noir says delicately. Could you please tell her that a child, regardless of sex, is akin to a flame? Too little nurturing and it starves and dies. Too much and you snuff it out. Keeping him desperately away from all forms of possible conflict or violence in his life left him starving spiritually. She's drowned him in love and starved him of strife. Both are needed." Vernon explains, not knowing that the device was put on speaker the moment he said child by Miro Noir's fast and skillful fingers. "And what would you know about raising children, let alone boys?" Quar Urla snaps crossly. "Having been one myself, and being one myself, I know that if I didn't have my brothers to argue with, if I didn't have my mistakes rubbed in my face or the chance to make those mistakes, I would not have grown. I needed to understand in no uncertain terms that if I'm going to insult someone to their face, that I better be prepared to catch a fist there. As much as he and I hated each other, Big T was one hell of a teacher in the school of start shit get hit. Taught me how important good manners are in just one afternoon. Don't you curse in front of my son, so that when he's older he can be mocked and belittled for not understanding basic crude language. Excellent plan." Vernon retorts with enough acid in his tone that Miro Noir raises an eyebrow. "What makes you think he will ever have to be exposed to such filth? Because life happens. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, something will happen," Vernon says before audibly sighing. "Look, lady, I get it. I really get it. You're scared. Every time you think about Jeth, all you see is that tiny little bundle of baby that you gave birth to. I get it. You will never be able to want anything more than his safety and protection. Then why haven't you brought him back? You're not listening, are you?" "I'm not listening. You're not listening. Quar Urla's rant to be is cut off when a tree reaches down and warps a branch around her mouth. There is a pause and the call ends. Vernon then drops out of the canopy above and lands lightly. "You make it very difficult to keep my temper, Quar Urla. Vernon regards. I am assuming your intentions are noble. Do not make me assume otherwise." "Vernon, why are you so upset?" Miro Noir asks, and he lets out a shuddering sigh. Though it is far, far rarer throughout history, stories such as Jeth Urla's are not unknown to the woods. These are the sorceress tales that end in the most pain. The sorcerers born of war sought vengeance and justice, yet those that are made as Jeth has begun. Vernon shakes his head. "Mrs. URLA, a person no matter what race needs many things to grow. Yes, food and water and safety keep them alive, physically alive. Such is fine for a beast. An animal can live a very satisfying life with just food, drink, and safety. A person needs more, so much more." The branch wrapping around Quar Urla visibly grow as she tries to burn them with her fire. Unfortunately, this forest learned to drink flame long before the Apuks surrendered their shells. The flames only cause the branch to thicken and the leaves to grow lusher. She makes a strangling gesture, a quick, panicky jig, then forcibly calms herself down and breathing more and more steadily. "Are you ready to speak rationally?" She nods in response, and Vernon looks up to the canopy and gives it a short nod. The branch unwinds from around her face, and she takes a few deep breaths. I deserve a say in my son's life. I am his mother. Cor Urla states plainly, and Vernon nods. I know that. I respect that. But your son has invoked truly ancient and powerful protections, laws that I follow, that every sorcerer follows. You're not an Apuk. You're not part of this culture. Being allowed into the Broken Shell tournament was farce enough, but you're also a male and you spat on a tournament to celebrate the strength in our women. You don't know anything. What makes you think you have any authority here? What right do you have to keep my son from me? I did not bring him to this forest. I did not guide him deeper in. I brought him food. I spoke to him gently, and I listened to his woes. In what way have I brought him harm? You're lying. You filled his head with ideas of being a sorcerer. I had to tell him that I'm a sorcerer. How is it that your son doesn't know of me? I was only the largest scandal in the planet's largest tournament. Not to boast, but I should be recognizable on sight by now. The last time I let him watch a tournament, he spent the next month doing everything in his power to provoke his sisters into fighting him. Do you have any idea what that's like? To come home and find your children declaring their intent to murder one another? Do you not trust your own children? I know my children. Quar Urla returns. I've personally given birth to 8. Then why? If any of them were actually threatened by fire, then I'd have buried all 8 of them, my son included, she says tartly. Did you see his scar, perhaps? It's a big jagged thing on the top of his head, so maybe not. It races from one horn to the other and is mostly hidden by his hair. He doesn't remember how he got it, and I'm thankful he doesn't. He tried to pull a Mr. Big Man routine, tried to act tough and strong. He nearly split his head open. You weren't there. You didn't see him lying on the ground broken and slowly dying. I did. I saw my little boy fading away in a pool of his own blood, and I knew it was my fault. I swore I would never let anything happen to him again. She rants at him, and Vernon simply matches her gaze without a word. Well, say something, Mr. Alien Sorcerer Boy. Lady, I'm going to be as blunt and direct as I can. You're going to want to hit me when I say this. My wife may want to hit me when I say this. I will not. Mironoir protests, and he smiles at her. However, it must be said, when it comes to your son's previous injury, when it comes to your sense of failure and desire to keep him safe, I don't care. Vernon goes from talking to a shout that makes both Quar Urla and Mironoir jump in surprise. I don't give the slightest of shits about what your damn excuse is. That boy needs help. He needs help that you've just told me you can't damn well give it to him. Meaning that putting him in your care is the worst things I could do. He came here. To a dark forest. Why? I don't care. The forest doesn't care. And if you were to buy a shit for me to give in relation to this, I wouldn't give one on general principles. Vernon rants hard, growing more and more animated as he rants as if presenting a lecture with illustrations. At this point, he's speaking with his body as much as his voice. There are many less animated dances and martial arts. The first step is taken. The forest knows him now. The forest guards him now. The only way he leaves this forest is under his own free will. He walks out by choice, or he doesn't leave at all. No amount of excuses of screaming or laws written on paper, signed in blood, digitized in computers, or chiseled in stone can change that. And if you or any army tries to force it and starts making headway, then the forest gets backup in the form of every sorcerer alive. Even without that, without the sorcerers, the forest is still so strong that high-grade plasma and laser bombardment from orbit designed to reduce mountain ranges into smoking pits has only a slight chance of breaking through. If it doesn't immediately overwhelm the forest, it will feed off the energies and become so strong that it may very well reach out of the atmosphere and drag down the offending ships, And if things have gone to that level, then you can be damned assured that the poor boy's already dead in the crossfire. But there has to be some way I can bring him home. There is nothing anyone can do to force him out of this forest. Not you, not me, not my wife, not even the Empress can force this issue. The only being in all existence that can bring Jeth Erla out of the dark forest is Jeth Erla of his own free will. No one and nothing else, Vernon says, winding down and taking a few deep breaths. How do I help him? How do I bring him home? Quar Erla asks with tears in her eyes. Vernon seems to deflate. The energy with which he ranted snuffed out, leaving him looking lessened by it. The only way to bring him home is to do the only thing you can do. Love your son and make sure he knows it. Only he can bring himself home, so he has to know, with no uncertainty, that he can go back. No ifs, no ands, no buts. There has to be a way back if you want him to come back. I can do that, Quar Erla says, nodding rapidly, and Vernon holds up a finger. Good. Now, this is the hard part. You have to let him know that it's okay not to come back. What? It has to be unconditional. Whether he stays or goes, whether he visits so often that it's like he never left, or if he jumps on a spaceship and makes a point of being half a galaxy away at all times, he needs to know there's a way back, that he can have you as his mother no matter what. Otherwise, he might decide he's hit a point of no return and simple leave forever. He might leave forever, but letting him know that he can always come back. That means no matter what happens, there's at least a chance he will. Do you understand? I do. Perhaps telling her some good news, dear, Mironoir asks, and Vernon smiles at her. Sorry you had to see that side of me. Vernon apologizes. Vernon, my love, I will never regret seeing you in the grip of passion, be it for my pleasure or the defense of another. Seeing the raw fire that burns within you has never failed to impress, Mironoir says, leaning into her husband and wrapping her tail around his waist. There's good news, Quar Erla asks softly. Soon a village will be built, and your son offered a place there. It will be a home for sorcerers and those training to become sorcerers. Not only will this make his growing into one a much faster and safer, but will be opening a path for visitors as well. The Empress wants more sorcerers, and we plan to offer some foreign teachings as well. Of course, this is dealing with sorcerers. If Jeth doesn't want to be part of the village, we can't keep him there. What kind of foreign teachings? Knowledge from my home world. There was a nearly mythic group of master spies and assassins called shinobi or ninja in the days of old. They were resourceful, practical, self-reliant, and much of their strength came from an understanding and respect of nature. All traits that sorcerers share as well. It's just that they did it without axiom. So we're really just rounding out the skills sorcerers have and giving them a few more tricks, as well as a sense of style that some will follow, but all are free to ignore or emulate. I see. You haven't started building it yet, have you? The workers and teachers are supposed to arrive in a few days. Until then, I'll be bringing him food and supplies. I've already put together a shelter with a bed for him. It's not as comfortable as his room is, but he's off the ground, sleeping on soft moss, warmed under leaves and sheltered from any rain. At least he's sleeping well, she says while hanging her head to hide the tears.